that there's still a lot of games, of course, to be played, and we hope that, of course, we'll continue to see some impressive action. One of the teams as well that have also been tough, fantastic is LA Lakers. I think this year has been a very good one for them. We've seen them putting up a very good start, this year, and we look forward to see if they can maybe, continue with the level of performance we've seen from them so far.
All right, great things are happening in the NBA. The Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunders are doing pretty well. Piston as well, also doing great things in the Eastern Conference as well. Minnesota Timberwolves, from the earlier struggle, they seem to be getting back their rhythm and mojo with that impressive victory early hours of this morning. We see so many games still yet to play, to be played. We have about 82 games. Some have gone down almost half of the game played so far, so still many games to come. Kingsley, this year's NBA season, what has really been interesting for me, I don't know about you, is the fact that some of the key names, the likes of LeBron James, just mention the big names in the world of the NBA. There seems not to be displaying spectacular, especially for some of these regular names. But we've seen some great outing from some of the picks so far this season. The young lad that were picked, we saw them breaking some records. But some of these major names, Gianni Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, you cannot really pick out one player out of this big name to say this name has been exceptional this season. Why?
I think it just depends on how intense the game, of course, has been. All the teams want to, of course, step up their performance, and as well, other players also still want to step up their performance, as it stands. So somehow, you see that it becomes difficult, for some of these top players, to be able to be very outstanding, in the games, we've seen so far. I know thanks to injury as well that have also hampered, some of the performance of hampered the performance of some of these players. So I think considering all of this, you could say might be the reason why we've not seen them, be that, of course, fantastic, so far. But I think, like I said, we still have a whole lot of, games, to be played this season. Probably as the season unfold, we'll possibly, of course, see maybe one or two of them stepping up, this season. Definitely at the end of the season, we still have the MVP of the season and all of that. So no matter how poor, they've been playing, we're still going to decide who is the most valuable player of the season, and all of that. So I think it's just a matter of time. Definitely we'll see some of these players, stepping up and living up to expectations.
Just a matter of time before we see some of these big names living up to expectation in the NBA. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the Women Football League. Kingsley seems to be a very ugly development from the Nigerian Women Football League. What we are seeing, their male version, talking about crowd trouble, is also beginning to rear its ugly head in the Women Football League, as Bayelsa players and officials, they were assaulted a few days ago by Ibom Angels in one of the clash out there in New York on Wednesday. Some sanction has been imposed, 2.5 million naira. But then, beyond the sanction, we have never heard of this kind of, crowd trouble in the Women League. We often hear of this in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Why?
I think it's gradually becoming a norm. All right, we just like you mentioned, we don't always hear of fans violence in the Nigerian Women Football League, and you ask yourself, first of, is the Nigerian Women Football League beginning to gain fans? Because the reason why we don't really hear much of fan violence is as a result of the fact that fans do not really turn up for the games. But before you hear that, fans encroach the stadium or encroach players, on the pitch and all of that, that's to tell you that there are now fans, turning up to watch the Nigerian Women Football League. And for me, I think that's a good development. It's a good one, for the league to thrive. But in the situation whereby they're even trying to get fans, and the fans are just causing problem at the same time, it is where the problem is, as it stands, because we need to, of course, we expect, smooth flow, smooth and smooth game, and all of that. But in a situation whereby the fans, tend to disrupt the game, it's not a good one at this point in time. And this is not what, of course, we normally see in the Nigerian Men Football League. So I think the league board has a whole lot, of course, to do to make sure that they cop this before, of course, it becomes too much. Just like what we do experience in the Nigerian Premier, Football League. They have to make sure they provide means to tackle all of this to make sure that it do not become a norm, in the Nigerian Women Football League, because it is not common, at all, of course, in the league. So we've seen this a couple of times, this season, and I just hope that the teams will try as much as they can to make sure they do whatever they have to do for this not to continue, because it's not good. It's not good for the image of the league, at the end of the day. And as well, considering this, the teams should look for a way, of course, to see how to provide adequate security. Is what we've been preaching for a very long time now. If there is adequate security in every match venue, some of these things, of course, will not happen. It's just that we're so careless sometimes, about what we do here, in the country. In a sinner climb, you don't see all of this, happening. That a match will be going on, and there are no security, of course, on ground to make sure that they put things in place. So we just hope that the league board will try as much as it can to see how to cope the situation so that it doesn't become something that happens regularly in the league.
All right, let's see how we can be able to cope this. But away from that, let's dive straight to the African Cup of Nations, because there are matches that are currently ongoing, Kingsley, as we speak. Mali currently down against Senegal, 1-0. Goal scored by one of the key players in Ndiaye in 27 minutes. And 43rd minute, Bissouma got his matching order for Mali, reducing them to 10 men right now as we speak. Do you see Mali coming back in this particular one?
It's very difficult for them to come back. It is not what we saw. It's not what we saw in the group stage and the knockout stage of the competition, where Mali struggled. Mali have been struggling. They've been getting a fairy tale run, so far in the competition. I think the 3 games they played in the group stage was all draws before heading down to the knockout stage of the competition. I think even in the knockout stage, I think it was Tunisia they eliminated in the knockout stage via penalty as well. So Mali have been struggling so far, and I don't think that struggle will continue against Senegal, who are, of course, a very, very formidable side so far in this competition. So I don't see them getting a comeback, in that encounter. This might probably be the end of the road for Mali.
End of the road for Mali, but then we've seen Mali with 10 men down and come back against their last game.
I don't think it will happen against Senegal.
They did so exactly at 90 plus 4 minutes. Even with 1 man down, they had to strike against was it Tunisia? Yes, to get that victory. In fact, just like you posited, out of the games they've played so far, funny enough, they have not been able to win a single game within 90 minutes. And they've rode their luck through to this very particular point. Last game, like I stated earlier, 4 minutes added time it took them for them to draw a level. And they went on to win the penalty shootout. So you think that they cannot come back if they did that in the last game? Can they do this against Senegal?
I don't think so. I don't think Mali will come back in this one. This might not be like what happened in the last 3 or 4 games, where they've been struggling, of course, to rack up points or to win games. Senegal, they're different side, entirely. So Mali might not be lucky today. If maybe they have tried the most they can to hold Senegal, maybe down to the first half of the encounter. I understand that game, of course, still in the first half. Yes, anything can still happen. But from what I'm seeing, I don't think Mali will be able, of course, to get a comeback, in this encounter. Senegal, they've been very formidable, and against the Mali side, have been struggling. I don't see Mali, of course, taking advantage or probably seeing how to make a comeback, in this encounter.
All right, we can tell you that it's been a topsy-turvy encounter between Mali and, of course, Senegal. But at this point, we'll take a quick break, and when we are back, we'll serve you some of the statistics in the match thus far, and then we'll take a look at the one that is coming up tonight by 8 p.m. between the host, Morocco, and the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. We'll be back shortly. All right, you're welcome back from that short break. Still onto Atlantic Television Network, and this is Sports Extra, where we talk the extraordinary things in the world of sport. And we told you that the quarterfinal of the African Cup of Nations is currently ongoing, and Mali is up against Senegal. 68 minutes played so far. It is still Senegal 1 and Mali 0. With one man down. Kingsley, we've seen this Senegal side looks more like a very composed and a very compact team, full up of, made up of arrays of stars, the likes of, Pape Matissa, talk about Nicolas Jackson, Sadio Mane, Koulibaly. These are experienced, players that have tested the African Cup of Nations 2 to 3 times. If you take a look at that team, right, it's made up of stars with experience. Beyond this game against Mali, how far do you see Senegal going?
I think if you look at it, Senegal, they are one of the formidable side, that have at least gone far in this competition. You take a look at, the quarterfinalists, where you have the likes of, Mali that they are currently playing against. You have Nigeria. We have Algeria, you have Morocco and Cameroon. Talk about Ivory Coast and Egypt. Senegal, they stand tall, when it comes to competing with some of these teams. So I think for me, Senegal possibly might go for the win today against Mali. They are in the semi-final, and you know what comes up with the semi-final. Teams are always very much eager and ready to see that they get through, down to the final. And I think with how formidable Senegal they've been so far, there is every tendency that they might possibly, head down to the final of this competition.
And if they head to the final, which other team are you possibly expecting them to head to the final as well?
That's of course, difficult to say at this point in time, because we're still waiting for the clash between Cameroon and Morocco. We're still waiting for the clash between Algeria and Nigeria. You talk about, Cameroon and, Egypt and Ivory Coast as well. So difficult to say at this point in time. Really, really difficult. This is the first time in 30 years that all quarterfinalists, in the African Cup of Nations has come from, of course, the top 10. All of those teams that are in the top 10, that are in the quarterfinal of this competition, all of them are ranked between the range of 1 to 10. The FIFA ranking. So you could see how intense, it is. The quarterfinalists is the quarterfinal. The quarterfinalists, are made of the quarterfinal stage of the competition are made of top teams, and so difficult for you to predict. So at the end of the day, we'll just hope for the best.
If you take a look at the teams left in this quarterfinal, it is just like you're alluding. It is best to say that this is the best, African team so far, and this is the team that was supposed to even take Africa to the World Cup 2026. Yeah,
definitely. I think these are the teams we should be considering. That, of course, will represent, Africa, in the World Cup. If you look at it, in fact, these teams here, just like you mentioned, should be the ones who should be taking the World Cup, because all of them are formidable. Top 10. All the teams there are being ranked from 1 to 10. All right? None of them is out of top 10. So if our top 10 in Africa will be going to World Cup, that would have even been better. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Some have argued that the African Cup of Nations should even be used as a yardstick to select the teams that is going to represent Africa in the continent of Africa, talking about the World Cup. But then I don't know how, how much of sense does that make, that the AFCON should be used as a yardstick to select the best, teams that will represent Africa in the World Cup. And if you take a look at it, that will tend to bring more competitiveness within teams in the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, it will bring more competitiveness, but taking a look at it, is it really justifiable, using the AFCON as a measure to select teams, for the World Cup, as it stands? I can't really, pose it at this point in time, but somehow it might rob some teams off the opportunity. All right, it might rob some teams of the opportunity of trying to see if they can also make it down to the World Cup, from Africa here, as it stands. So I think the qualifying process is still a very good means of deciding which of the teams from here in Africa, of course, will head down, to the World Cup. Today, we're talking about DR Congo, all right, looking for means to make it down to the World Cup. If we want to maybe go by the AFCON, all right, DR Congo might not be anywhere close. Though, yes, we've seen that they are trying to improve, as it stands, but so you take a look at it, how justifiable it is to use the AFCON, as a means of, selecting teams, for the World Cup. Like I said, some teams will not even smell the World Cup in the next 20 years, if that, of course, is being used, because we always see some of these top teams, Egypt, Morocco, Cameroon, Nigeria, always maybe dominating the top 5, at the end of the day. So, the looking at it, I don't think it's really justifiable at this point in time. But talking about the World Cup, I just hope that the best will always go down there to represent Nigeria, I beg your pardon, Africa at every point.
All right, let's head back to some of the games. Some of the games, yes, that is going down, and the one that is yet to come. Talking about 8 p.m. Game, which will involve the host Morocco and the Cameroon. This one is going to be yet another blockbuster encounter. Kingsley, the host, Morocco, up against one of the favorites, talking about, Cameroon, that have been very, very, good. They've been able to put aside some of the off-pitch problems to, find a way to find a winning formula. And here they are talking about Cameroon. They're even being tipped as one of the favorites. Tonight, up against the host, Morocco, in front of their home crowd. How do you see this one panning out?
I think it's going to be another top fixture we'll be looking out for at this point in time today. Because when you take a look at, the way Cameroon they've played, you really want to give it to them. Don't forget, a few weeks ago, they were actually being, rewarded financially, for their impressive performance so far, in the competition. So, all of this monetary reward, and all of that has a way of motivating the team. And I think Morocco, I beg your pardon, Cameroon are not just motivated financially. Morally, they are also motivated. Samuel Eto'o is not leaving any stone unturned. If you do not play, he even comes to the dressing room to talk to the players. All right? He comes to the dressing room to talk to the players. And so you take a look at all of this. As a player, you want to give your best. All right, so for me, I think that's why we've seen Morocco, I beg your pardon, Cameroon being very much, forbidden so far in this African Cup of Nations. They have a hard-working, federation presidents that do not get, any nonsense from anybody. You fail to do your job, then of course, you might actually face the risk of what, of course, might come up, as it stands. So I think they are in a very good position in winning tonight's encounter. Morocco also a bit for formidable side. Yes, so far so good. I think they're trying to put up a very impressive performance, but I think Cameroon has more advantage in this encounter, tonight against Morocco.
Still talking about having advantage, hosting and playing in the front of your home crowd should be added advantage for this Moroccan side. No doubt, they have not been very convincing. Even the coach earlier stated that in their last game where they managed to win 1-0, was it against Tanzania? It was a hard-fought victory for them. The coach acknowledged that fact. But then, tonight's encounter, we hear that numerous fans were trooped out to the stadium to even double the numbers we've been seeing. Don't you think that is a great advantage for the home team?
It's a great advantage indeed, very great advantage. It's one thing to have the 11 man, on the pitch, that's the fans. I beg your pardon, 12 man in the pitch, that's the fans, and then being able to utilize, the confidence that comes with it. All right, we might have the fans fill the stadium, but will the players live up to expectation on the pitch of play? That's the thing. The opponents, won't they also want to put up a very impressive performance, no matter the level of pressure coming in at this point in time? So for me, I think it doesn't matter if the fans, of course, will fill the stadium. If the fans that will fill the stadium will be all Moroccans, and all of that. So I think it's all going to boil down to what happened on the pitch of play. And I think the Cameroonians have what it takes to absorb that pressure and still do what they have to do on the pitch of play. against Morocco tonight.
So invariably, you are giving it to
Cameroon.
indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
Definitely.
Your scores.
It will be a narrow one, maybe one goal to nil in favor of Cameroon.
All right, we wait to see just 8 p.m. tonight. That one is going to light up our TV screen. Morocco, the host, will be up against Cameroon, one of the favorites who has been, I mean, they've been very, very solid so far, very compact. So we'll just wait and see who takes this particular one tonight. But then let's talk about the Super Eagles, because the Super Eagles have arrived at Marrakesh for the 2025 African Cup of Nations Cup quarter-final tie against the Desert Foxes of Algeria. Kingsley, after the whole trouble of bonus issue, refusing to travel from Fez to Marrakesh, eventually they find their way down to Marrakesh. With what is going on and off the pitch, do you think that the Super Eagles can stand the tough test of Algeria tomorrow?
I just hope that they'll be able to put themselves together and try to, of course, focus on the game. At this point in time, we understand there have been a lot of distraction. The players, of course, having issue within themselves. Ademola Lookman and Victor Osimhen. There's also issue of match bonuses not being paid to them, and a whole lot, as it stands. These players, of course, from what we've seen so far, they're giving their best, in the competition. But sometimes, some of these things could bring setback, could demoralize their, morale heading down to, of course, to the encounter. So I just hope that the players will not, put their mind in some of these things. They should know that they are going in there to play for themselves and to play for the glory of the nation, and for Nigerians who are also looking up to them to, of course, go far, maybe win the 4th African Cup of Nations after a very, very long time. So I believe the players, of course, know what is at stake at this point in time. Some of the players in there haven't won the AFCON. Even the Victor Osimhen we're talking about, he hasn't won the AFCON. They are Demola Lookman with that, they are even they have not won the AFCON. So I think at this point in time, it's time for them to be more united. Thank God for the captain who actually came in, to see how to salvage the situation by saying it's going to pay the match bonuses if the Nigerian Football Federation or the government do not, intervene at this point in time. That's high level of patriotism, from the captain. So I just hope that they will put everything aside, and focus on the game. And it will be so bad of a record, Tunisia coming to eliminate us once again at this stage of the competition after what happened in 2019, where they were eliminated, I think, in the semi-final, of the competition. So we'll just look forward to see what, comes up tomorrow against Tunisia. I believe the players, they will be able to focus on the game and let all the distraction aside.
Talking about distraction, of course, patriotism, just like you pointed out, the captain of the side, Wilfred Ndidi, has come out to volunteer that if the federal government or the NFF fail to do the needful by paying the players their match bonuses and allowances, that is going to take full responsibility to offset that bills. What do you make of that action from Wilfred Ndidi? You want to say this is more like the role of a leader in a team?
Yes, it is the role of a leader to make sure that everything is in place. All right. As a leader, you must intercede for your people. You must, of course, stand in the gap. All right, to make sure that things, go smoothly at this point in time. And that's what Wilfred Ndidi just did. The players, of course, said they were not going to train. They're not going to travel to Marrakesh, and it was a problem. So if they win the African Cup of Nations under the leadership of Wilfred Ndidi as the captain, of course, a whole lot of accolade will go to him. And that's why the man is trying the most to bring peace and make sure the camp is calm, heading down to the next encounter at this point in time. So for me, it showed that leadership spirit, high level of patriotism and passion, for the game, and not just for the game alone, for the country, to make sure that, of course, we're able to go far, in the competition. My concern is, I think this should be a huge shame at the side of the Nigerian Football Federation. that you cannot pay your players match bonuses. But every time you call them, come and play. Why are they coming to play? We understand, yes, it is their country. They're supposed to come represent their country, but should you just work and go back empty-handed? No matter what it is, a laborer deserves his wages. They've come to work. That is their work. Should they do free work, how would they be able to feed themselves and their family? And all of that. That's what we should be looking at here. Don't say, oh, you're coming to play for your country now. Some will even take it to some of the players. It's a privilege that you're even called to the national team. It's very, very bad. You're supposed to pay them so that tomorrow they know that, okay, we're coming to play for our country. We'll be well taken care of.
True.
All right, so it is very, very bad that this is happening, at this point in time. And it's not the first time. It's something that happens on a regular. We saw this in the World Cup qualifiers and now in the African Cup of Nations. The NFF should be ashamed of themselves. Honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves that you cannot afford to pay match bonuses. Match bonuses. Players complain of match bonuses. The coach also complain of his salary. What are you doing? What are they doing in the glass house? What are they doing? Is it just to go there and sit down and call for media conference and say one or two things and that's all? So you ask yourself, the yearly budget that normally comes up, and of course there will be a particular money assigned for sport. What do they do with it? What do they do with the money being that FIFA provide? These are things we should be asking ourselves. Sometimes, okay, we'll go for competitions like this and we'll go far. Even the World Cup qualifiers that we even played, I believe money came based on the stages we got to. Even this AFCON, based on where we've gotten to, money will still come. So where all this money going? What are we really doing? That's the question at this point in time. It's very, very annoying. It's very annoying. Tomorrow when the players do not perform very well, they say, oh, the players are not passionate, they are not passionate.
Patriotic.
Eric Chair is not a good coach. And all of that. So it is very, very bad. I just hope that, at this point, if he happens that Wilfred Ndidi will pay, they should pay him back his money. Let no what happened between Mikel and Samson Siasia repeat itself. Oh, we paid, I paid the money. I was the one that did this and happened tomorrow. These are the things they should try to avoid. So it is very bad. Ibrahim Musa Gusso, you should watch it. I don't think he's doing a good job.
Ibrahim Musa Gusso should watch it, and of course, we tell you it's not a good one at all, not a good one. The issue of players' bonuses and allowances not being paid continue to rear its ugly head. But still talking about the match between the Super Eagles and Algeria come tomorrow. If you go through the statistics, Kingsley, in the last 5 meetings between Algeria and Nigeria Super Eagles, the Super Eagles have just been able to win 1 out of the last, 5 meetings, and Algeria had won about 4 out of those 5. This should be a very worrisome statistics for Eric Chell.
Yeah, it's a very worrying statistics, but I think Eric Chell has a different team. If you look at it, Super Eagles in this tournament so far has been very, very offensive. You see them scoring goals, not just 1, but 2, 3 goals, of course, in a game. And I think for me, that's a very good team. When you have such a team as a coach, you are very confident that there's no how you're not going to get a goal, no matter how difficult, formidable your opponent defense, of course, is, as it stands. So this is different Super Eagles, all right? What happened maybe in the last 5 meetings probably might not repeat itself. I see the Super Eagles going toe-to-toe. I listen to some of the players, and one thing I really take out from all the things they've been saying, like they want to, of course, redeem themselves, to Nigerians, looking at what has happened in the World Cup qualifiers. They know that Nigeria are written them off. So many Nigerians do not really even have hope, on them again in terms of playing in the African Cup of Nations. Just like, let us see what comes up. Nobody really, we're not seeing Nigeria being so passionate. Oh, Super Eagles, what will be the outcome of the game, as it stands? So I believe that this encounter, no matter the records that have been so far, I think Super Eagles will make a difference this time around from what we've seen. Let's just hope that, like we mentioned, some of this distraction we'll talk about do not play in especially between Osimhen and Ademola Lookman. It shouldn't be in a situation that Osimhen will be trying to please, I beg your pardon, Ademola Lookman will trying to please Osimhen in the pitch by trying to give him all the passes so that he will start, scoring, so that there will be peace, at the end of the day. So you see that some of these teams probably might have a way of, hindering them, but I just hope that they will have a better understanding and try to see what, of course, they can do at the end of the day to get the job. So I don't think history or the records on ground will have an effect in tomorrow's encounter.
All right, we'll see how this one pans out tomorrow between the Algerians and the Super Eagles, as they will be hoping to see who outsmart each other and head to the semi-final of the African Cup of Nations. Away from that, let's head straight to the English Premier League. Kingsley, Arsenal has squandered the chance to go 8 points clear of Manchester City last night, as they were held at home by Liverpool. 0-0 it ended. Great opportunity missed by Arsenal to go 8 point clear for City.
Huge one, very huge opportunity missed by Arsenal Football Club. I thought they were going to really press, play Liverpool the way they did against Aston Villa, but I think Liverpool were, a bit smart yesterday. They held the ball, played Arsenal very well, especially in the second half, of that particular encounter. It was more like almost a 50-50 game, if you look at it from the first half down to the second half of the game. Though Arsenal missed some crucial chances, that they would have, used to bury that encounter. I think as it stands now, 6 points, lead on the table. They still have a whole lot to do to make sure that, they secure their way, down to the title at this point in time. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed. It wasn't really a bad game for Arsenal. I watched that one yesterday. It was not a bad game for Arsenal, even for Liverpool. It was more like a 50-50 encounter. But Arsenal really have to show that, champion mentality. If they want to win the title race, they must show that, yes, they, of course, can get the job done. Games like this is what, Arsenal should use to prove themselves. If they have beaten Liverpool yesterday, would have given them that opportunity at least, to go 8 points, straight on top of the Premier League table. But now 6 points, anything can still happen. It is just March the 21, a whole lot of games to be played, and I think Arsenal should keep on strengthening themselves and then see how, of course, they can fight to the very end, because I tell you, this title race will be very, very tough going forward.
Very tough going forward. On that note, this is where we may be leaving the show this evening, because we are running out of time. Don't worry, we'll make a return tomorrow morning to serve you yet another sport personality. For now, our sport extraordinaire goes to the Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper, talking about Lucas Chevela, because yesterday he saved a 2-spot kick to help Paris Saint-Germain win the French Super Cup in a record extending 14 times. So he is our sport extraordinaire for today's edition of the show. I did a show this evening alongside Kingsley Emmanuel. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airways. And we're saying, have a beautiful night ahead.